What's up, everybody? I'm going to walk you through today how to put stiffer front fork springs into your SSR 125 Razkull. This is probably the best bang for your buck front suspension upgrade you could do. It's going to give you better handling, better braking, and allow you to lean over farther in turns. And all around, it's going to be safer. So let's talk about the tools you're going to need to get this job done. You're going to need some hex wrenches. I would recommend a 14-inch spanner, a 22mm socket, and a magnet, extendable one, and some paper towels to keep clean. And that's going to be it as far as tools go. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing you're going to do if you have your stock handlebars is undo the 4 bolts that hold the top clamp on, and then let the front handlebars flop over the front here. Then you're going to do the forks one side at a time. So let's do this side first. We're going to loosen the 6mm pinch bolt on the top triple tree. And then you can go ahead and get your 22mm socket and loosen the top of your fork cap. All right, now I would recommend getting some gloves on because there's going to be fork oil on the inside. You don't want to get your hands dirty. Okay, so with your 22mm socket, you're going to want to take your 14-inch spanner, and on the top of the tube here, you're going to notice there's notches that perfectly fit the 14-inch spanner. So use that to hold the top, and you can unscrew the top of your fork cap here. All right. Now we want to remove this bit here that the 14mm wrench connected to off the top of your dampening rod. So to do that, push down the bike a little bit. Grab the outer spacer tube here and hold it with your fingers and start to unscrew. And this will slowly come off. Okay, now you can remove your spacer, and you want to go ahead and grab the dampening rod before it falls down. You could tie some floss or something to it so you could pull it up if you let loose track fit, because it'll slowly start to sink, but I'll just hold on to it. And I will use the magnet to get the old spring out. All right, nice and easy. There's going to be a little bit of fluid that drips out. Now you take your new stiffer fork spring. So the ones that come stock with the Razkull are about 0.4 millimeters per kilogram or kilograms per millimeter. These ones are 0.65, so they are a good bit stiffer. Go ahead and install it on there. Put in your spacer. You might notice that it's not sitting all the way. So if that's the case, pull the spring out, and because these springs are just a little bit thicker than the old ones, the spacer might be stuck to the bottom. In this case it is. And you can go ahead and see that you just need to make sure it seats all the way. So we're just going to cram that on. There it is. Now this should sit all the way down. Okay. So it's just a nice tight fit, but everything fits pretty much drop in. All right. And then you're going to get the top of your dampening rod. And once you start screwing it in, that's all the hard part. So let's wipe off our hands right now. Get a towel. Clean up any fork oil that's sprayed anywhere. All right, so we're just going to tighten this down all the way. Trick you could do is you could take a like 4mm one of these, and there's a hole in the spacer you can shove this into, and that'll hold it from spinning while you crank down on the top here. Okay, so you know you're done tightening this down when you can see the inner dampening rod just spinning with it, and you have, you know, about a 1/2 inch of thread showing. That's about as far down as it's going to go, and so it'll just keep spinning forever. But once you have, you know, once it spins together, that's as far as it goes. Get your fork cap. Go ahead and screw that on. And then you want this to be nice and tight. So give it a nice, good tightening here. All right. And then have a friend pick up on it. And once you get the threads to touch, just very carefully start to tighten. And you'll feel the threads catch. There we go. And then just tighten it down and you're done. That is how to upgrade your fork springs. Now, keep in mind that if you upgrade the front springs, you got to do something about the rear. I recommend a YSS shock. You can get them for about $100. They have a stiffer spring. So when you do the rear shock, it's going to pick the rear up. When you do the stiffer front fork springs, it's going to pick the front up. So you want to adjust your rear so that way the bike is picked up evenly. So if you pick up an inch in the back, pick up an inch in the front. These springs will typically pick up the front about an inch. But measure your sag. So measure the length of your front suspension and rear suspension, sit on it and take a measurement there. Make sure the bike is sinking the same amount front to back. There's a bunch of good videos out there on YouTube how to get your sag adjusted. But now with these new front fork springs, you should notice the front is a lot stiffer. It's not going to be bottoming out. You will be able to brake harder. You'll have better front traction and you will be able to lead the bike over farther. So there you have it. Now you just repeat the process on the other fork tube and you are all done.